Well, we've got another winter meetings here. Excited to be here. It's enjoyable to have, a lot of our team here, and I say that whether it be coaching staff, we've got Will, Walker, and then, beyond that, we've got some front office, Ryan Fuller, Brian Bannister, and some other front office members, and, just having everyone together at an event like this where there's a lot of buzz. It's a little bit of a glimpse into the upcoming year, and spring training once we get through the holidays is right around the corner. So obviously we still have a lot of work to do, both organizationally and underneath in a major league club, and we're spending a lot of time together and trying to put our best foot forward.
Did you have specific goals coming into this, kind of set out that you were looking to do? I mean, obviously it's just 3-4 days out of the whole off season, but was there something you were looking at coming into this?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come in thinking that we need to do this, we need to do that, because so much of this is whether it be discussions with player agents, with other clubs, everyone has their plans, and sometimes there's just a certain pace to any sort of negotiation, so to speak. So we understand what our needs are. We're going to remain big picture with every move that we make. But to have everyone together to have those discussions is, something that I always enjoy, and we'll see if we can, get some things done while we're here.
Will your strategy be any different on the Crochet market than it was on Cease? I mean, you guys kind of let the market play out before you traded him. Is there a different sense after going through it once that maybe a different strategy with this pitcher?
I wouldn't say there's a different strategy. I think it's you've got every off season is different. Every deadline is different. The market will dictate so much of this, and when you're talking about off season versus in season, when you're in the off season, you've got free agency that certainly garners some attention. That may affect the trade market when you have a deadline. The only way to access players is through making trades. So I think it brings a different bit of a pace. However, we've had a lot of conversations on a lot of different players, quite honestly. Obviously, Garrett gets a lot of attention just because of the pitcher that he's become, and that's a testament to the player, to the person, the work that he put in. He's got one of the best pitcher makeups that I've been around. I mean, this guy is, at just a different level, and that showed last year. And obviously, it's other teams have taken notice, and then I think, in a way, refreshingly, Robert's gotten a lot of attention as well, and that just speaks to the talent that Louis Robert brings to the table. I mean, at his floor, just because of the defense and the base running and the power, he could be an above-average player, let alone if you get a smooth runway in the beginning of the year, and what he's capable of doing throughout a full season. I mean, he's an impactful guy, and teams are recognizing that. Not to say that we're heavily motivated by any sense, but when you're in a rebuild like this, you got to look at ways to accelerate it. And if there's something out there that we feel like can move this along and take us to another level, we're going to consider it.
Were you surprised by how many teams are interested, in particular in Crochet?
I mean, it's tough to say you're surprised when you have a pitcher that went out and did what he did. I mean, there's only so many frontline guys, ace caliber type pitchers in our game. So there isn't a team in baseball that wouldn't take Garrett Crochet, and we feel very fortunate to have him wearing a White Sox uniform and comfortable going into the season with Garrett Crochet. We believe in the pitcher. I mean, he's a guy that went out last year and has proven that he's a top pitcher in our game. So to say that I'm surprised, no. Now we got to do what's best for the organization.
If you're considering trading him, has the field narrowed in the last month or so? Like, are there some teams that have separated themselves in their aggressiveness?
There are some teams that are more sincere than others, and then there are some organizations that just, we match up and we align more. We're still kind of learning, and those conversations will be ongoing. But while we're here, we're going to do the best we can for the White Sox, and if that means that we make a move, we make a move. But it's okay if we don't.
So it could be imminent or it could not be. Like, there's no timetable in your mind?
There's no timetable.
We asked you a lot about Dylan last year when he was going through this. Have you talked much to Garrett in the offseason at all? To Garrett in the offseason?
I personally, I haven't spoken to Garrett. I know our coaches have. That's because it just in our strength staff and medical, our usual kind of check-ins and making sure that they're on top of their strength and conditioning, and if they have any needs that we can help them with. So personally, I haven't. But I also know he's only a phone call away, and trust that he's preparing for next season, and I know things are going really well for him this offseason.
Robert is obviously a huge talent, but he's coming off a subpar year where there's another injury. Can you kind of dispute the notion that you would be selling low on him in this offseason because of that?
I mean, it's really how whether it be a free agent signing or a trade, it's the predictive nature of what this player is going to bring to the table in the future. The tools haven't changed. Obviously, the injury last year was disruptive to his production. But the reason there's so much interest because maybe a team feels like they can capture something that perhaps didn't show up last year. But if you go rewind to where we were a year ago, I mean, this guy, it was someone that was invaluable. I mean, he was a player that could impact the game in so many different ways. So, but we're a year later, but we believe in the player without question. And we know the player. We know what he's capable of doing, and we take that very seriously.
You're asking for a lot for him. I mean, is the price tag high on him?
I think it's an appropriate price tag based on the talent that he brings to the table.
Are you noticing a discrepancy between the evaluations of you and some of the teams you're talking about when it comes to him?
Perhaps, but that's not uncommon for every team has their every team has their evaluation system and predictors of future production. But that's something that needs to be measured in any conversation, any deal that's made. So we feel very comfortable what he's going to be able to do next year and future years. So that's certainly a big part of something large that we account for.
Has there been interest in Benintendi too? Have you heard from people who?
There's interest with a lot of these guys, and Andrew being one of them. Once again, you do what's best for the organization, and we have those conversations.
The economics of both Robert and Crochet's contracts seem to really weigh in heavily in your guys' favor, because if Robert is being deemed as the superstar he was 2 years ago, that's a pretty great contract for the team to pick up. Are you feeling that from other teams, that the economic part of this is something that's a driving force as well?
I think that's why there's so much attention on these players. You look at the length of contract, their ability, and they have their models and their beliefs and evaluations, and you either align with it or you don't. But I know for one thing, as we stand here today, feel very comfortable and proud to have them part of the White Sox organization.
What do you like about the makeup of the new coaching staff, and particularly the new coach as well?
Yeah, I love the coaching staff. They all have a diversified skill set, different backgrounds. I think that it's a combination of talent, experience levels, energy, work ethic, all the things that go into a quality coaching staff that I think is going to work its way throughout the whole organization, quite honestly. And to have a handful of those guys here is really healthy for us. And Will's been fantastic so far as our manager, and bringing that group together on the coaching staff and communicating to our players. He's made player visits already with other coaches, so I've been very impressed and really happy where we're at from a coaching standpoint.
Was it purposeful to have a younger staff because you're kind of going through a little bit of a younger rebuild, or was that just a byproduct?
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at the most talented guys. And when you say you diversify, there's different levels of experience, and really it just I mean to be able to connect with players is important, but it doesn't matter if you have 1 year of experience or 30 years of experience. We're looking for the best individuals that we can.
Fans might see, coming off of a season with the number of losses that you guys have, a lot of carryovers, from that coaching staff. Why is it good that you've got such a bulk of those guys coming back?
I look at a coaching staff as a battery, and they complement each other very well. We're excited about adding Ryan Fuller to the mix to help on the hitting side. We feel really good about our pitching process. We feel like we've got the right people in place on the hitting front now. I know Walker as a bench coach is really going to be helpful in a lot of different areas. He's going to help Will. I think that they're going to mesh very well. I know that it's very easy to point at a wins and loss record of last year. There's so many different factors that go into it. But we're really happy as a whole with the group that we have.
Do you feel like a lot of turnover can be unproductive at a certain point? Change for changes.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot of individuals that remain on the staff that were first year last year, and so you always look for ways to improve, whether it be your player group or your coaching group, and you don't want to make changes for the sake of making change. You try to support the coaches the best we can to ultimately serve our players, and we feel really good about our group.
The Cubs seem to have a really strong young core of players coming up in their organization. We, surmise that you've talked about the fact that you're looking for good young position players. Is there anything precluding you and Chad from just having more than coffee one day and extending this thing beyond, just media conversation out there?
We've had conversations about various topics over coffee on occasion, but if there's a match, there's a match. We've got to do what's best for the White Sox, and if that means that we knock on the door of the Cubs, so be it. They have a talented group that's working its way towards the major leagues, and if we feel like it can help the White Sox, then we'll do it. But there are other organizations that have a lot of talent throughout their organization that we might match up better with.
You signed Slater, and you have a lot of left-handed corner outfielder options, Fletcher, Deloach. Do you see right field or that mix already in house as set, or do you still see maybe adding to it or exploring different options for it?
We're looking to add to it. We are, and that's something that we may accomplish here. But we plan on going into spring training, adding to that group.
What do you think about the shortstop position? Is that something that would benefit from a veteran like you guys brought in with Paul last year?
We're looking at a lot of different options. Obviously, we've got Colson coming up. He had a very nice fall league, finished strong in Charlotte in August and September, and carried that into the AFL. And we feel pretty good about the track that he's on. Now, if there's someone out there that can, strengthen our infield positional group, we'll do it. That's why we're here, to continue those conversations.
Is Colson on a track that could make him in the mix for that for opening day?
We expect him to compete for a spot in spring training.
Does your transparency, you think, help you, knowing that you've been since you took this job, you've been so open with us and the media, and other teams and other general managers hear what you're thinking most of the time? You think that's been a helpful tool for you as you've gone about this rebuild and trying to get good players?
I hope so. That's just something how that's just part of how I like to operate. I like to be upfront with everyone, whether that be with other general managers, with players or coaches. There's certain information that you can share, and perhaps you don't share all of it, but at the end of the day, I like to be very truthful and very upfront about our current state, what we're trying to accomplish, so we can kind of break through barriers and get things done for the White Sox.
Chris, you had the season you had last year with the record you had. Is it weird that in the age of the draft lottery, you're not going to get the number one pick, you're going to get a 10th pick overall? Is that kind of a weird dynamic in terms of kind of maybe a slight hamper on the rebuild too, because you could have had an impact player right there, obviously.
My preference would be to be able to go inside the top 10. The rules are the rules. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. That's just the current setup of the CBA right now. And, we'll try to maximize with what, is given to us from the draft lottery and continue to build towards, a competitive, major league club, which, we feel like we're on the right track for.
How important is just all avenues, with David and the draft and trades you make or don't make, and just in building that team?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different mechanisms to bring in talent, whether it be on the international front, and we're in the process of building a new academy. We've modernized that process. We've strengthened our R&D group. Obviously, we've talked about the coaching staff, and we love the group that we have, and that'll pay dividends. I'd love for it to move quickly. I think everyone that's working in the organization, but certainly our fans, would appreciate something that they could feel at the major league level quickly. However, we got to look at the long-term health of the organization. We're going to go about it the right pace.
Chris, back to Bruce's original question about Cease, and you can answer this in a vacuum. Did you find that probably less teams involved, but they were maybe, I don't know if the word's desperate, a little more aggressive at the very end, like San Diego closed with the trigger, or did you learn that maybe having everybody more involved at the beginning of the offseason may have been better? You know what I mean? That's the trade-off, right? So the idea of the trade after free agents go off the board as opposed to before, is that all swirling around in your head? I guess what'd you learn from the Cease trade?
Well, every market's different.
Yeah.
It is, and there's only certain group of free agents each off season, and that's going to affect trade acquisitions and value and pace. The one thing that I can confidently say is Garrett Crochet had a tremendous year last year, and I think everyone in baseball anticipates the arrow to continue pointing up.
You talked last offseason about the positives of acquiring multiple pieces for one player. How do you kind of balance the idea of quantity versus quality when it comes to Crochet?
I mean, there's different ways to build out value in a deal. Sometimes there's a deal that is perhaps top heavy and one or two pieces, and then there's a volume type deal. We're considering all levels. We are. There's different ways to shape this, but yeah, we're certainly looking for impact, and we'll see if we come to something, whether it be with Garrett or anyone else.
Are position players the preference versus pitching?
At this point, yeah, we're definitely dialed in on position players, but that's not to say that we won't take a quality pitcher in return.
How much pressure is there on you and your very young but accomplished staff to get it right? I mean, you go to bed at night, is it easy to fall asleep, or does that clock keep ticking in your head?
Well, now that I'm getting a little bit older, I fall asleep fine, then I wake up, and my mind's spinning a little bit, but I think that's fairly normal. We're committed to doing things right and not being short-sighted. We're committed to building out a proper infrastructure that's going to be fruitful in the end. I mean, that's truly what it is, and you try to make sound decisions, stack them on top of each other, and if you have quality days, that you're going to be working towards something great.
In your world, was there a Juan Soto effect? Maybe it's only been less than 24 hours, but have things ramped up a little bit since he signed?
A little bit. There does seem to be a little bit of a stir, whether that be the just winter meetings or Juan Soto. It's tough to really know, but obviously there was a lot of attention towards Juan Soto with organizations that were in that. And yeah, it does seem that my phone is buzzing a little bit more.
You've gone through this process of having a player that people want or are bidding for a few times now. What have you learned from kind of the previous experiences with Cease or Fetty that kind of informs how you're handling it now?
The market comes to you. It does. I think we showed that we were very patient last year, with Dylan Cease in trying to find the right fit for us. So I think that Going through that last year is only going to benefit us this year, and understanding the behaviors and the predictive natures of other organizations allows us to be a little bit more measured this offseason.
How close are some of the rumors out there about the White Sox? And a lot of general managers laugh and say they're almost 85-90% wrong, when they're out there. When it comes to the White Sox, how accurate have some of the reports been?
There's been some wild rumors out there. I mean, there's no denying that. I can't say that I listen and watch it that closely. I'm just focused on, what's actually happening. At the end of the day, we really won't know until the deals are made. So, but I know when you have certain players, there's a lot of buzz. I think it's good for baseball. I know I am sensitive to player rumors just because players themselves and their families and how that can affect them. So, that comes with just being upfront and communicating the best you can.
Do you have a proximity to the majors preference in your return? Do you want guys that you can project to maybe debut in 2025, or is it not really is it just value?
We want the best players that we can, regardless of level. I think a player that's closer to the big leagues, obviously lessens the risk, perhaps. But we're looking to maximize it. You can shape it, a lot of different ways. So, proximity is a factor. I wouldn't say that, it's going to carry, 90% of a decision in the end. Upper level talent is attractive, though.
Might feel to us like maybe something is not real close right now in terms of the trade happening here, but is that a possibility yet?
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You would characterize talks as there's activity with both Garrett and Robert, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations going on, and we're certainly not going to force anything. But if it comes to us, then we're certainly not scared to pull a trigger on something that'll help us.
You surprised us last year when you signed ALLCITY at the winter meetings when we all thought you were going to trade Dylan Cease. Are the White Sox back in the starting pitching free agent market? Are you looking to add another starter?
We're looking at some pitching, to bring into the organization. We're looking for opportunities to bring in pitching.
We all silly like the mayor.